City leaders have identified the woman killed during an Immigration and Customs Enforcement operation in Minneapolis Wednesday as 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good. Officers involved in the shooting say they acted in self-defense, which DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says is clearly backed by the video evidence.
ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues.
Reaction from Democrats on Capitol Hill has been typical.
At the end of the day, what we saw today is a murder. And murders in cold blood need to be prosecuted.
The bottom line is very simple, Jen. We should not have ICE agents patrolling our streets. They're not needed, they create chaos, and they even create deaths.
This officer not only needs to be fired and suspended, but based on the video, he needs to be charged with murder.
And the mayor of Minneapolis has especially stoked the flames, blaming ICE agents directly. Fox News legal analyst Jonathan Turley said this about Jacob Fry's comments.
It's reckless, and it's a repeat of what we've seen in the past, where these Democratic politicians rush to feed the rage, and the result is often riots. The fact is that under the standard of Tennessee versus Garner, this does appear to be a justified shooting. Doesn't mean that that's how it will work out. We need to see the ultimate conclusions of the investigation. It'd be good to see some more videos. But what we have so far does seem to meet that standard. You can slow down the video. I mean, many of these people on the internet are slowing it down, making it look like these officers had time to go get coffee, debate what to do, come back and shot the woman in the head. I mean, the fact is that this was a blink of time. It was not a second, it was a fraction of a second.
Here's Fox News contributor and legal expert Carrie Urbon.
Well, I think what's particularly important about the facts and with respect to what Kristi Noem's saying is this woman appears to have been in the process of committing crimes, right? She's impeding law enforcement, she's stopping traffic. These are all criminal offenses. So why does that matter? Because if you're a law enforcement officer and you're approaching someone or dealing with someone who is already in the process of committing crimes, what's going to happen? Your suspicion is going to go up, and you're going to become extra concerned that this person is capable of something else. Why does that matter? Because of perspective. And when this is being investigated and ultimately going to the courts, they're going to look at if an officer on the scene, not the armchair quarterbacks, not hindsight, but on the scene, had reasonable belief that he or she or others were in harm or in threat of serious harm or possible death.
And finally, a law firm has a request for the U.S. Supreme Court.
Alliance Defending Freedom wants the U.S. Supreme Court to hear the case of Youth 715 Ministries. ADF is asking the court to hear the case because the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals allowed the state of Oregon to exclude the ministry from participating in an otherwise available public grant program simply because the religious organization hires people according to its faith. ADF attorney Jeremiah Gallus.
Youth 715 Ministries serves at-risk youth in the Oregon area, and it does so through employees and volunteers who share its faith and share its mission. Because of that, Oregon excluded it from the grant program.
Gallus said that every religious organization should have the right to hire people who share their faith, and the government should not be able to penalize a religious organization just because they're religious or act according to their religious beliefs.
So if the state of Oregon can penalize and punish Youth 715 Ministries because it operates according to its faith by hiring only those who share its faith, then any state would be able to do the same.
I'm Chris Woodward.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello everyone, Tim Wildmon here. We've got some great tours lined up in 2026. Washington, D.C., George Washington's Mount Vernon, Colonial Williamsburg, historic Jamestown, Boston, Massachusetts, and that greater area. So much to see and do in 2026. If you want information on any of these trips, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we'll see you on one of our tours in 2026.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today is Thursday, January the 8th, 2026. Thank you for listening to AFR. And in studio with me today is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
What's up, dog? I've been wanting to say that for a long time.
Yes, Ed has a future as a rapper, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm still probably 20 years behind the times.
I think Dog went out about 10 years ago.
Whoop,
Also Raising the Roof.
Raising the Roof.
That's yesterday's
that's 90s probably.
Sayings. Wesley Wildmon. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
And Fred Jackson. Good morning, Brother Fred.
Good morning, Tim.
Again, folks, we thank you for listening to AFR. As always, we don't take your listenership for granted. We could, I guess, but we don't.
That's
right.
That's right.
That's the way we look at it here. All right, so much to talk about in the news. Before we get to the serious, sobering news out of Minneapolis, Minnesota yesterday, I do want to say that there are, of course, we're based in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Right.
And we have a lot of Ole Miss Rebel fans here.
Yeah.
In the building amongst our staff.
And they're all wearing their gear.
They're wearing it, buddy. We got the red and blue going everywhere. All over the building. We got we don't screen, we don't discriminate here.
Right.
Just because.
Otherwise, a Notre Dame fan wouldn't be on
we
staff.
let you in. So I say that because some of us are Mississippi State folks. But the Ole Miss Rebels, their football team made the now the semifinals
for the first time in history.
Yes, and played tonight.
Yep,
the second time in history we've had quarterfinals, right? But to make the playoffs, you're talking about.
Yeah, to make the playoffs.
But we got Ole Miss versus Miami tonight. Now, in the 90s and the 2000s, Miami was the villain.
Oh, yeah.
The U.
Yeah.
They had a reputation for being outlaws.
Yeah.
Being what?
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore. Yeah. When we're not saying Frank Gore was an outlaw.
No.
We don't want to get sued.
That time in history.
It was that time, that era.
Yeah.
That era. Yeah, when Frank Gore, the great NFL player, played. But anyway, tonight in Phoenix, Arizona, Ole Miss versus Miami. So that's the first one. And then tomorrow, Indiana versus Oregon, right?
That's right. I coach my son's basketball team here in town at a Christian school here, and I had several Ole Miss players that we have practice tonight, and they let me know that they couldn't be there. And of course, I was very accommodating. In fact, some of them are at the game.
Are they really?
Oh, wow.
Went all the way out to Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man.
Well, what happened to?
I tell you what,
if Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State aren't in the semifinals.
Yeah, nobody's sad about that either, except their own fans. And they're not sad; they're mad.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the map, though. You talk about a national tournament here. We got Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, and Indiana. So we have the West Coast, the East.
That's true.
The East Coast, the South, and the Midwest represented here.
Yeah.
In the last 4 games. So. Anyway, we will see what happens. Yeah, but Ole Miss and Miami tonight, and then Oregon and Indiana tomorrow night.
And the reason a lot of Ole Miss fans are super psyched about that is that and this is a big, all 4 of these teams left over are very good. But if Ole Miss wins tonight, they could play for the national championship. Now, let me just ask an ignorant question. Ole Miss has never been national champion, have they?
One time.
Were they really?
Go ahead, and I will answer that my own way, Wesley. After you get through commenting.
I thought I saw. Could I look this up? I thought I saw they made the national championship like in the 40s or the 20s or
59, 60. Right in there when they would have claimed a national championship. Now, I'm not going to argue with people about this.
Right.
I'm just going to tell you the way it was at the time. Back in the old days, before we had any kind of playoffs in college football, there was only the regular season, and then you had bowl games. Okay.
Right.
And so after the bowl games were over, the Associated Press, the AP, would name a national champion.
Yeah.
Okay, would name a national champion, but it was not undisputed.
Right.
Because there was no playoff.
There was no head-to-head.
There's no head-to-head. There's no final decision like we have now on who the champion is. So it was sort of, in a way, opinion or arbitrary, I should say, so that a lot of schools, if they tied, if they found one poll out there,
right?
There were multiple polls, and if one poll showed them as number one, they claim that as a national championship.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
And many schools do this. I could name them: Auburn, Ole Miss, and LSU, and some other, Tennessee, and some others. But I won't.
Hey, you're talking about the University of Mississippi.
Do what?
You're talking about the University of Mississippi, right?
Yes, I am. Why? So
Chris just dared me to say the University of Mississippi.
Oh, okay. Well, Ole Miss fans are going around here saying we are the University of Mississippi, like the Ohio State University. So.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be should be a fun game tonight, and it's as a sports fan, I like seeing the little guy rise up and take on the big guy sometimes
and win.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we'll see what happens this evening. You're listening to Today's Issues, not ESPN, but we did have to acknowledge.
We do have that in our blood, you know.
Yes,
this is an exciting time for the state of Mississippi.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, Fred, we will whiplash here, talking about fun things here, but we did have a big story out of Minneapolis yesterday. What happened?
Yeah, if the rest of 2026 is anything like the first week of 2026, it is going to be a news event-filled year. Less than a week
for our show.
Yeah.
Today's Issues, right, Ed?
Yeah, that's right.
Less than a week ago, we had the United States military go in and arrest a dictator in Venezuela and his wife. And yesterday, as part of the ongoing effort of the Trump administration to go into states that are harboring thousands of illegal immigrants, our ICE agents were in Minneapolis yesterday, carrying out what they do, going and trying to find these illegal immigrants. Mixed into that group yesterday was a woman in a SUV who was tracking the ICE vehicles, and at one point she pulled in front of an ICE vehicle. The ICE agents attempted to get her to move. She would not. They went up to the window of the car where the SUV she was driving, asked her to get out, which is a lawful command, and she did not. And instead, what the video shows, she put her vehicle in drive. In front of her was, as part of this effort to stop her, was an ICE agent. When she started to move forward, this ICE agent shot 3 times. One of those bullets hit the woman, and she died. And so what we have yesterday, and of course, being a sanctuary state, sanctuary city, the leader, the mayor of Minneapolis, the governor of Minnesota went ballistic over this, told ICE agents leave town. Some very colorful language was used by the mayor, Jacob Frey. But yesterday, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Secretary, she said her people have done an investigation, and she described yesterday what they have found with this incident, what happened, cut number 1.
ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues.
All right, so that was Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem. I mentioned that almost immediately the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, called a news conference. We cannot play in full his comments because of the language that he used, but we have tried to clean this up to get rid of some of that language. But he immediately called a news conference to basically totally denounce what ICE is trying to do there in Minneapolis. Cut number 2.
We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
He went on to say much, much more about that. Basically, get out of our city, get out of our state. Constitutional expert Jonathan Turley talks about the mayor's comments causing much more damage than any good. Cut number 3.
It's reckless, and it's a repeat of what we've seen in the past, where these Democratic politicians rush to feed the rage, and the result is often riots. The fact is that under the standard of Tennessee versus Garner, this does appear to be a justified shooting. Doesn't mean that that's how it will work out. We need to see the ultimate conclusions of the investigation. It'd be good to see some more videos. But what we have so far does seem to meet that standard. You can slow down the video. I mean, many of these people on the internet are slowing it down, making it look like these officers had time to go get coffee, debate what to do, come back and shot the woman in the head. I mean, the fact is that this was a blink of time. It was not a second, it was a fraction of a second. And the courts have said repeatedly that they don't second guess these split-second decisions. They look at whether an officer could reasonably believe that he was in danger.
Well, okay. So first of all, it is a tragedy that this woman, Renee Nicole Good, died. She's a mother of 3. I don't know if she's married or not. So that's always a tragedy when someone dies in a situation like this. I always ask 2 questions. I ask, could this have been avoided on the part of the person who got shot? And that is clearly the case. I constantly see on social media these videos of people who refuse to obey lawful orders from law enforcement. I know sometimes it is very frustrating if you get pulled over, you don't think you did anything wrong, things can get heated, but you have to obey lawful orders. And even if it's not a lawful order, I have talked to attorneys and they always say you can protest, you obey, and then later on you can sue. Okay? That's with just regular law enforcement. With ICE, when you have people like apparently Renee Nicole Good had been doing, stalking these ICE agents and then doing anything fast in a vehicle. It looked at first to me when I saw this video that she was trying to get away. She didn't want to get arrested. She backed up and she started to drive to turn her car and get away. But then if you look closely, you see this other ICE agent in her way. And according to reports from Kristi Noem and others, he was actually hit by the car. And so to me, it looks like it was a valid shooting, although a terrible thing. But it is, I blame Frey, the mayor, Tim Walz, the governor, and others in these blue cities and blue states who say, well, you're not getting any help from law enforcement. Law enforcement should have been out at these arrests, keeping the public away, keeping protesters away so ICE agents can do their jobs. And because they've been told by their mayors, no, don't help them, you're going to have more of these things happen, especially when you have political leaders ramping up the rhetoric like Mayor Frey.
Wesley?
Yeah, in situations like these, any type of officer shootings or things of this nature, you're going to have more and more evidence. You're going to have more and more personal testimonies, more and more people. But I guess eventually, is there body cam footage? I don't know if there's that yet.
The ICE agents involved did not have a body cam.
But we do got footage, so you'll get more and more information. But just based on what we've got so far, we have what y'all have described. You have an agitated protester who has been at multiple scenes causing multiple problems, and she was asked to move out of her vehicle, get out of her vehicle, and she didn't. She backed up and proceeded to go forward. Ran over an ICE agent, and or at least run over it, not flat to the ground, but attempted to, and the officer had to move, and so they did their training. I don't know what else there is. I think the problem here is you got, like as we mentioned, you got Fry and Walls and others who are making this a bigger deal than it was. If the roles were reversed and the ICE officer lost his life, then she would have got away scot-free, and I don't think it would have been. I don't know if they would have been as sympathetic or as I don't know.
Towards the ICE agent.
Toward the ICE agent, yeah. So.
Yeah, this woman was looking for trouble and she got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry she lost her life, but she put herself in a bad position. And I watched the video of it was a woman. Many people have seen it. It was a woman with her cell phone, and she was capturing what was happening, and sounded like to me she too was out to protest the ICE agents being there. Yeah, let's go back for just a moment and realize why this happened. Well, first of all, let me just say this, and I've said this before. It's never a comfortable video when you have to watch police officers, or in this case, ICE agents, confronting people. Police work by its definition is confrontational, aggressive, sometimes violent, as happened here.
Depending upon the person they're addressing, because it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't have to be that way, but I'm saying that when it is that way, when you have people resisting arrest,
there you go.
When you have people resisting arrest, for example, or physically interfering themselves they would say on behalf of somebody else, we've seen that happen too, then the officers are trained to defend themselves and to protect their own lives and that of their fellow law enforcement officers. So, and then it's kind of like sometimes too when you know how you go into a grocery store and you're rolling your buggy or basket, depending on what part of the country you're from.
Right.
We roll our buggies here in the South, but the basket, the rolling basket, and you come down an aisle, you're going to get the cereal, and some mom is just taking her kid and shaking them,
right, or
whapping them on the behind or whatever like that, their 4-year-old. Well, and you go, man, that's aggressive. Well, you didn't see what happened.
Led up to that.
Right.
You didn't see what happened for the last 15 minutes leading up to them getting their little tails whipped.
Yeah.
Okay. But your initial reaction is one of, wow, they shouldn't be treating that little child like that.
Right.
Okay. So that kind of thing goes on when they turn on the camera on the police officer.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not talking about the body cam. I'm talking about the public flipping on somebody who has an agenda and they want to flip on the video camera.
Right.
Let's videotape the police officer. Now, the police officer, or in this case, the ICE agent, should still act professionally and do as they're trained. But they're also human. Okay. They're also human beings, and they have emotions too. Now, they're trained psychologically in other ways to control themselves. But in this case, I watched that. This woman, number one, as we've said here, she was out all day looking for trouble. She was trying to physically block with her car the work of the ICE agents in the city, the lawful work of the ICE agents in the city of Minneapolis, all right? And as you guys have said, encouraged to do so basically by the left, including the mayor and others in this particular case. And we've heard leading Democrats in Washington, talk about resisting the ICE agents and confronting them. Okay, that's never going to end well if you're going to get into that kind of situation. So this woman, while she was 39 years old, and she was interfering. And what happened on the video, the officer told her, now, Fred, was it you telling me? Somebody told me that there was a ICE vehicle that was stuck in the snow.
Yeah, about I'd say about 12 feet back.
Okay, I watched the video, the cell phone video, and the officer tells her to get out of the vehicle,
which is a lawful order.
Okay, get out of the vehicle, and the officer knows he's being filmed. I mean, there's other people around, so get out of the vehicle. She does not get out of the vehicle. And I think he tried to open.
He does. He tries to open her door.
He tries to open her door. It's locked, I guess. And it's at that point that she starts to try to leave. I'm assuming she's trying to leave the scene because she sees they're about to arrest her. Okay, and so when she tries to leave the scene, that's when she runs over. Okay, they're showing the video. I'm watching it now. She starts to move her vehicle towards an officer who's standing in front. Now, as I went, when you go looking for trouble and you're going to get it, and you get it, and this is the worst way her life.
Yes,
her life has ended. She's resisting him opening the door, and she pulls her. Now she's not going 50 miles an hour. She's trying to turn around. She's turning around to leave in the street. So
her vehicle is aimed straight at that ICE agent when she starts to accelerate.
May I offer an observation that may or may not be true here on this situation? Yeah. She may not have seen him.
Right.
I'm talking about the officer that had then taken the position in front of her car. She may not have seen him because she was probably looking at the guy walking up to her door. You see what you understand?
I think that makes sense.
So she may not have been maliciously trying to run over this officer, but it was a result. Again, this is my observation, and I may be wrong. She may have tried to run over him intentionally, but it happened nonetheless because she put herself in a position to.
And she refused to obey a lawful order.
There you go.
Now, it hasn't Governor Tim Walz, who's in enough hot water over the Somalian fraud situation, hasn't he threatened to call out the National Guard?
Yes, he has. We're going to call up our National Guard, and I'm paraphrasing here. They'll take care of us. Paraphrasing.
This to
what
me,
what does that mean?
That's a threat.
Yeah,
that's a threat against federal agents.
That's how some people are reading it. You know, Tim, to your point. What happened yesterday is part of a much larger political chaos that's going on in this country. Because we have President Donald Trump in office, he has ordered a crackdown on illegal immigration. Democrats as a whole, whether it's the mayor of Minneapolis, the governor of Minnesota, they're all against this. They are painting the Trump administration.
They're for illegal immigration.
They are for illegal immigration. They are painting the Trump administration and Homeland Security, the ICE agents, as the enemy. I want you to listen to this montage of Democrats, which include AOC and Schumer, responding to this yesterday. Cut number 5.
At the end of the day, what we saw today is a murder. And murders in cold blood need to be prosecuted.
The bottom line is very simple, Jen. We should not have ICE agents patrolling our streets. They're not needed, they create chaos, and they even create deaths.
This officer not only needs to be fired and suspended, but based on the video, he needs to be charged with murder.
So I would say that the left, in language like that, makes them an accomplice to anything that happens like this, because they're the ones that's saying that
they're agitating it.
That's right.
Yes. Again, I know it's a worldview type situation that I can't. These people, like you just heard, if it were up to them, we would let the world into America
unchecked,
and they don't care.
Right.
They don't care. They don't care how much gang activity. They don't care how much drugs they bring in. They don't care how much human trafficking there. They don't care. Let them all in.
Terrorism.
And don't.
Because they'll vote Democrat
and get rid of ICE.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll vote Democrat. It's. You would think you're voting against your own country, your own self-interest. You're voting against law and order and all these things, and they don't care. They don't care. They want it. Joe Biden let 15 million people walk into our country. He didn't care. We'll be back.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
For the love of money is the root of all evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced their hearts with many pangs. Well, don't give up on people. There's still goodness left in some of them. Mrs. Jean Carden of Los Angeles is proof of that. Miss Carden was walking down a Los Angeles sidewalk one day when she found $100 on the street. She carried it to the police station and turned it over to the authorities. So what's so great about that, you ask? Well, I would agree that there would be several who would do likewise. But Mrs. Carden was something of a special case in my book. Why? Well, for the simple reason that at the time she found the money, she didn't have enough money for a bus ticket to the police station 10 blocks away. In fact, she was flat broke. So she walked the 10 blocks to the station to turn the money in. And to top it all off, she didn't even have a job. Why did she do it? I just followed my impulse, she said. Her impulse told her it was the right thing to do. She went on to add another comment. Some people tell me I was foolish. Well, you could have predicted that. There are always some who call honesty foolish. To them, it would be a simple case of finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Since turning in the money, Mrs. Carden has opened her first savings account in 20 years with a deposit of $700. No, she didn't get a reward for turning the money in. It seems that people heard of her deed and wanted to help a person with such high morals. There is within each of us that impulse, which Ms. Carden spoke of. It's there unless, of course, we've killed it with neglect. It's there to help us make the right decision. Did you notice that Mrs. Carden said her impulse told her it was the right thing to do? That's one reason that impulse is there, to help us determine right from wrong. For Ms. Carden, it was a moral decision, not an economic one, which was called for. Money was involved here, but it was no basis for a decision. The only basis for a decision was what was right. Do you think that perhaps business could take a tip from this? For many times there's a moral decision which overrides an economic one. And maybe even for you and me, there's a hint of help here. To spend our money like we should with an obligation to do right. If we could follow the example, maybe we could change the fact that we spend twice as much on liquor as on the carpenter's work. Now, admittedly, money, too much or too little of it, for her, no one ever has just the right amount, creates all kinds of problems for most of us. And we're often tempted to stretch our morals a little to catch up with our money. But is it the money itself that creates the problem? And if you should decide to take the tip and make the change with regards to money and morals, remember Mrs. Carden's other remark. Some people will call you foolish.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
The Lord looks down from heaven on all mankind to see if there are any who understand, any who seek God. Psalm 14:2.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hotty toddy. That's all we can say. It's Christian radio.
That's true.
Our Ole Miss friends have a cheer they do at ball games.
And it is not a family-friendly cheer. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, a couple of cuss words in there. But anyway, the hotty toddies, that if you say hotty toddy to an Ole Miss fan, they know. Yeah, that's all it needs to get them fired up. All right, so You're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, and Wesley, as always, we thank you for listening to our radio station and American Family Radio. Well, this is Pro-Life Month. January is every year, Pro-Life Month. We are a pro-life organization and ministry. Why? Because the Bible says so. It's as simple as that. God cares about human life, each individual human life, and he tells us to care about human life. And yes, life begins at conception, all right? That's what the Bible teaches. Conception, that's when life begins, and it will not stop until natural death unless it's artificially killed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Artificially stopped.
Ended, yeah.
Artificially ended. A baby will grow from the moment of conception to be a child, to be an adolescent, to be a teenager, and then to be an adult. So that's the way God created us, humankind. I know everybody knew that, but I wanted to reemphasize why we champion pro-life causes here. And one of them is adoption. And I would just say this. If you know somebody that they may not even listen to this show, but they're very interested in adopting, or they're talking about it, or maybe they are a couple that for some reason, can't have children and they want to adopt and they're looking maybe for a Christian organization to go through, that's what we're about to talk about here on this program right now. So joining me in studio is Jeremy and Jody Edwards, joining us in studio, Jeremy and Jody Edwards. Jeremy is president and Jody is executive director at New Beginnings Adoption Agency. I'll just say good morning to the lady first.
Good morning.
Good morning,
and
Jody.
Hotty-totty.
Hotty-totty. Again, that's all we can say right now on this
That's
show.
right.
Okay.
Hey, we do have an edited cheer that we say in front
Okay,
of our
we'll say that. Go ahead. An
We
edited,
say
family-friendly hotty-totty
family-friendly.
is what?
So we say hotty-totty,
Yeah.
gosh almighty,
Yeah.
who are we?
Okay.
Flim flam bim bam, Ole Miss I am.
But that's what I'm. There you go. Turn a lemon into lemonade.
There we go.
So
There we go.
what is your role, Jody, at the New Beginnings Adoption Agency?
Yeah, so I am the executive director, which is just a fancy title to say I do whatever needs to be done to get the
Okay.
job done. But I oversee all of the social services, so home study services, domestic adoption services, and international adoption services.
Okay. And Jeremy, welcome to you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where did you go to college?
Indiana Bible College.
In Indiana. So do you have a cheer?
I don't. I grew up in a family that did not know
Go
anything
Bible.
about football.
Okay.
So this is all new to me.
Well,
all right.
It's new to the people of Indiana, too. That's true. With all due respect to our Hoosier friends, they're like going, what? We're in the football playoffs. What's football?
That's all right.
When does hoops start?
See, I got us off track.
All right.
My apologies.
So you
No worries.
guys are a couple, a married couple, but you also work together at the ministry.
Yes,
So
sir.
you're the president, Jeremy, right?
Yes, sir.
And Jody is executive director. Now, when you get home, is she the president and you're the executive director?
I let her think so.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
Good man. You're a
Yes,
smart man
yes.
right there.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, Jeremy, tell us what you do. You guys are an adoption agency that you're licensed in Mississippi and Arkansas, right?
Yes, sir.
But you can help people all over the country, right?
We can.
Okay, so tell us what you do.
So we do domestic adoptions. We work with birth mothers who are wanting to make an adoption plan for their babies. For some reason, they just feel like they're not able to do it. So we walk them through that every step of the way. And we also have international program. We place children from Europe that are in the orphanages there. And then we also have an orphanage in Nepal that we work with as well.
So you do adoptions. Jody, I'll ask you this question. So
Sure.
you guys do baby adoptions, and you also do like adoptions from How do you do? How does that work?
Yes, so we primarily do infant
Babies? Okay,
adoptions.
infants.
Mothers contact us who are pregnant and interested in placing their preborn child for adoption. So once the babies are born, they're placed with the adoptive family right away. So typically infants. Now that's not to say, we have had women call us that have older children, a few months old, that say, I thought I would have more support or more help. I don't, and this would be the best option. But typically, newborn infants.
So if I'm listening out there and I want to talk to you about how you can help me adopt, what do people need to do?
Yeah, so for couples interested in adopting, the first step would be to fill out a preliminary application. And then if they were interested in domestic, our domestic director...
When you say domestic, you're talking about the U.S.?
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. If they're interested in domestic, our domestic director walks them through every step, which is just more paperwork, a home study, and then a waiting period.
What do they need to... do you have a website?
Yes, it's www.newbeginningsadoptions.org. So it's beginnings with an S and adoptions with an S.
Say that again.
Newbeginningsadoptions.org.
Adoption plural or singular?
Plural.
I do have a real world question.
You give
here.
it.
All right,
Let's
now
hear it, Ed.
I'm 67 years old.
Yeah.
I know.
You want to adopt?
I don't look
you and Diane
like
want to adopt?
I'm not going to say how old my wife is, but let's say I go home today after work, and I tell my wife I want to adopt an Italian baby. Okay, I want specifically an Italian baby.
Okay,
can we do that?
So New Beginnings, our international program is through Poland. So we could not help you with an
I'd have to have a Polish baby?
Polish, yes. But in Poland, we work with orphanages over there, so the children are older. And they do have a rule that there can't be an age difference of more than 45 years between you and the child. So
you're out.
You would have to adopt a much older child.
Well, you know how Tim was saying how life ends at natural death or when someone kills you? If I had gone home and actually told my wife that,
you wanted to adopt,
my life would be over.
That would be it for you.
I'm thankful for the 45-year
there we go
limit.
Yeah,
I've had a handful of friends of mine that have gone through New Beginnings to adopt, and some recently and some in years past, and they've had a wonderful experience.
Yeah, amen.
So
we're talking to Jeremy and Jody Edwards, who are with the New Beginnings Adoption Agency here. You guys serve people all over the country, but you're based here in our hometown. How many adoptions do you do a year? Do you facilitate?
It really varies. Last year, I think we worked with 70 to 80 birth mothers. Not all of them placed, but that's about normal.
What's the primary reason for people giving their baby up for adoption?
So birth mothers have multiple reasons they choose adoption, whether that be financial reasons, if the baby was a product of rape, or they don't feel ready to parent. But
they don't want to get an abortion.
Correct.
But
correct.
They know abortion's wrong, but they're pregnant, so the best thing to do is have the baby and then give the baby to parents who want them.
That's
right?
correct. Yes. Birth mothers honestly do the most selfless thing and the hard thing for them, which is to place for adoption. It's very emotional. It's very difficult. And we tell them, what to expect as far as the emotional roller coaster ride. But part of our services is we offer ongoing counseling for as long as they should need it. And that's no charge to them. So we're here to help them every step of the way in that.
So I used the word facilitate. You guys facilitate 70 to 80 adoptions a year?
No, sir. That's how many birth moms we work with, and not all of them end up placing.
Oh, okay.
But that's how many receive our services. It varies. We normally do around 10,
we average
10 to
about
10
to 15 a year domestically.
How much does it cost, the whole process to adopt?
Yeah, so we do have an adoption fee because we are
pay-
not
you have to
affiliated
pay-
with the state at
You're
all. So
nonprofit.
nonprofit. And our fees, our board is so great about making sure that our fees are lower than the national average. So we stay under that. Our total adoption fee is $38.5, and I know that's a big number, but another benefit of New Beginnings is we have so many financial resources for our adoptive families.
Yeah.
We have several organizations that we work with that offer grants, and we've had several families who have fully funded their adoption fee through grants. So,
And it's actually never been more affordable than right now because there's actually a federal tax credit if you adopt that I believe now is it $15,000 now, Jody?
Wow.
it changes every year. I'm not sure what it is for 2026, and part of that, so it's a credit, but now part of it is actually refundable. So
And then the state has another $10,000 credit.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you get a discount if you take a Polish baby? I probably should just get off.
I think that question was inappropriate. Ed.
Yeah,
You want to
okay,
retract
so-
that?
I do. I retract it. I retract that question.
Okay.
We are big on no child buying. Okay, that's a training we have to do.
And my question would be for an Italian adoption.
Probably going to be placed right next to the Polish.
Your wife's going to put you up for adoption.
Does Gerber baby food have pizza flavor? See, that was inappropriate too. That was.
I
that
probably
was,
deserve that.
Yeah. All right.
That's fine.
Well, listen. What can I know you guys are very busy. Can somebody talk to y'all on the phone? Or no?
Yes, they can call us. So we have a 20.
Go to the website first, I would say, because a
Website-
lot of questions will be answered there.
Yeah, sure. And we do have a 24/7 birth mother hotline.
Okay.
So if anybody, is needing to reach out any day of the week, anytime, that number is 662-507-1389. That's our birth mother line. Our office number is 662-842-6752.
Give that one more time.
662-842-6752.
And then also the website.
www.newbeginningsadoptions.org.
New Beginnings with an S, adoptions with an S
.org. That's correct. Yep.
Orgs doesn't have an S, right?
No, it doesn't.
.org.
.org.
Okay.
In Mississippi, it does.
Well, a lot of people understood you there, Jody, when you said www. Okay. I know I did. All right, thank you very much for the work and ministry you do, Jeremy
Amen.
and Jody Edwards, and thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in with us.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Have you ever known anybody that's adopted?
Oh yeah. Going back all the way to my wife and I, our first ministry years in Scottsdale, Arizona. I mean, not with New Beginnings, because listen, the Christian community is much of it is dedicated to not only protecting innocent human life in the abortion fight, the fight against abortion, but in giving young people and babies a chance, whether that's through foster care or adoption. So I'm sure that, like with foster care, the need is far greater than those who are willing to participate, but the Christian community, by and large, does try to be supportive of that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of couples, that find out they can't have children for some reason, some physical reason, and then they want to adopt, and they want to adopt from a Christian ministry.
Yes.
This is what New Beginnings is. They're a Christ-based or a Christian-based adoption agency.
Yeah.
So anyway, God bless them, and wanted to have them in and talk about their work.
One of my best friends just adopted through them.
Oh, is that right?
About a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, and they've had a wonderful experience, and it has absolutely fulfilled a prayer of theirs because they were unable to have anymore. So that answered a prayer for them.
Sometimes I was kidding about my wife and I. Obviously, we're far too old. We're hanging in just when we babysit our grandkids.
That's right.
Okay, but there are some, parents who are like in their early 40s or something, and their kids are, grown and getting out of the house, and they go, let's give another kid or two a chance.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I have known people like that too.
Yeah.
You have too. That God
Yeah.
bless them. If you can do that. All right, Tim, Ed, and Wesley here. We're back in studio, or we're in studio. We never left studio, but we're back with Fred Jackson now, our news director here. And Fred, what's the next story?
Well, tomorrow at the White House, there's going to be a big meeting, and it follows up on what happened last weekend with the Trump administration, our military, going in and arresting Maduro, the dictator of Venezuela. A lot of people say, okay, what next? Well, what next appears to be that the United States would like to take control of the oil industry in Venezuela. To that point, tomorrow there is a meeting of the heads of the major oil companies in this country. They're going to meet at the White House. The Wall Street Journal this morning has this story. The headline, Trump team works up sweeping plan to control Venezuelan oil for years to come. According to this, the goal is to get oil down to $50 a barrel. The plan under consideration envisions the U.S. exerting some control over Venezuela's state-run oil company, including acquiring and marketing the bulk of the company's oil production. People familiar with the matter say, if successful, the plan would effectively give the U.S. stewardship over most of the oil reserves in the Western Hemisphere. Caroline Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, had this to say about all this yesterday, cut number 10.
Secretary Wright and the Department of Energy are working with the interim authorities and also with the private oil industry to execute on this historic energy deal. That's not only good for the United States, but it's also going to revive the prosperity, the safety, the security of both the United States and Venezuela as well. They are absolutely eager to invest. They're eager about these opportunities. And Secretary Wright is a very knowledgeable guy when it comes to oil and energy.
Well, that's very interesting. So we, the United States, are taking over the oil. To the victor go the spoils. Is that what they say, Ed?
Well, I'm just going to say I don't like this. I don't think this is.
You're not invested in Exxon and Chevron, then, I guess.
No. I don't know.
In all seriousness,
am I? Yeah, I'm being serious here. I don't know how this is. I don't know how this is legal. Okay. Now, if we're working in cooperation with the Venezuelan government, and they say, hey, listen, you guys develop the infrastructure. We invite U.S. oil companies to come and help us do that, and we will make sure the U.S. has oil, and part of the profits go to these American companies. That's fine. I don't know how they say.
That's how it's being sold by the White House.
Okay, all right.
They're working with the new leadership there, and the sell on this plan is Venezuelans will benefit from this. They will work with the American oil companies to bring it back to life, and then have very well-paying jobs.
All right, that makes me feel better. It sounded like, from what was being said,
pillaging.
It sounded like we took out Maduro and we're taking over, and
that would never happen. Donald Trump.
Well, listen, and this has nothing to do with President Donald Trump. This has to do with we have done this before. And I'm not even blaming.
Ed, I believe if you look at world history, it's been done since the dawn of time.
I was going to say it's not just us who have done this kind of thing. However, we have tried to hold up a different standard. And if we were just going in, because why stop there? You know, let's just start taking over. Let's invade Greenland. You know, that kind of thing. I'm happy to hear what you just said, Fred. So I withdraw my objection. Second time today on the show, I've withdrawn something.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens, because we don't know what's going to happen yet in the streets of Venezuela. Are they going to be able to govern themselves without this falling into some kind? A lot of times when you take the strong man out or the dictator out, while that in itself standalone is a good thing, I mean, the free world, at least, and the people of that region in South America, Central America, we cited the polls all over just cheering that the brutal dictator is out. The witch is dead.
Ding dong,
Ding
the witch
dong,
is
ding
dead.
dong, the witch is dead.
The wicked witch is dead.
Well, that's the way the people feel.
Yeah.
In that part of the world, especially in Venezuela, for this guy being gone, because I mean he was a killer.
Oh yeah.
Every family,
Persecutor of the church.
Yeah. So my point is that there's a vacuum oftentimes when the dictator or the strong man is taken out, and then you have to say, well, what's going to happen next? You know, that's when you get into nation building sometimes, and you don't want to do that like we tried to do in Afghanistan somewhat, and in
in Libya, when Muammar Gaddafi was taken out, that's essentially a failed state, Libya. And then the Assad regime in Syria, that ended, and now you have an ISIS-linked group running Syria.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you do have to be careful on that. Maduro was a bad guy.
Well, Trump gave him an opportunity to go into exile.
That's right.
And he could be living a pretty good life right now,
Right.
not in a federal prison federal holding cell, at least up in the state of New York. Now, if you go to New York, I don't care who you are, your life is in danger. So
Right.
I don't know if he'll
Whether you're in handcuffs or
I don't
not.
know if he'll come out of this alive or not if he's let loose on the streets of said city. All right, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Yeah, so the story is the president and his administration are meeting with the oil companies, the American oil companies, I guess, talking about what's going to happen with the oil reserves that they have in Venezuela. I don't know if this is on land or does anybody know, is it most of this oil on land or is it out offshore in Venezuela?
I'm not.
Don't know.
I can't answer that.
Don't know. Anyway, all right. So what's the next story, Fred?
All right. We've heard about the fraud investigation going on in Minnesota. Well, the Trump administration is now apparently turning its attention to California. We've heard reports about $9 billion worth of fraudulent activity. That's primarily amongst the Somali community in Minneapolis. Well, listen to this. The estimate is, that we're hearing this morning, $250 billion worth of fraud in California. Bill Asalia is a federal district attorney in Southern California. He had this to say this morning on Fox, cut number 13.
I'm uniquely situated. I served in the legislature there in California before the president appointed me to be the U.S. attorney down in Los Angeles. The first thing I did was create the Homeless Fraud and Corruption Task Force. California has spent $24 billion in the last 5 years on homelessness, and no one can account for where that money has really gone for. So the first thing I did was set up that task force, and all we did is follow the money. We already charged millions of dollars in fraud. I can tell you more charges are coming, probably as soon as this month. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Nobody has looked at the fraud in California because every level of government has been owned by the Democrats here in the state of California. California's annual budget is $300 billion. Nobody does any accountability in the state of California. When is the last time you saw an oversight hearing or you saw the Attorney General indicting people for fraud? It does not happen in California. So we really don't know. So that's why the first thing I did, I said, we got to start looking at this.
Well, listen, the word is that President Trump is got some military boats stationed off San Francisco. And the capture of Gavin Newsom is imminent. And he will be extradited.
By the way, since you went back to Venezuela and Maduro for just a second, I looked up the answer to your question. Venezuelan oil resources include both onshore and offshore reserves, but I think the majority of Venezuelan oil is onshore, so it's on land.
Okay. And they have the most beautiful waterfalls arguably in the world. That the famous, I want to go there one day. I probably never will.
I wouldn't go now. You might want to wait.
Good travel advice, Ed. So Ed Vitagliano has issued a travel advisory against going to Venezuela right now for American citizens. All right. We will return. Wesley, Fred, you're gone, Fred, right?
I'm gone.
You're going to your office?
Uh-huh.
So Steve Paisley-Jordan is coming in?
No, it'll be Chris Woodward.
Chris Woodward. Steve's off.
He's off today.
Off today. All right. So Chris Woodward will be with us in a minute. We'll continue looking at what's happening in our country and around the world when we get back from this short time out.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Where can you access instruction and inspiration from scholars, apologists, authors, preachers, and activists to deepen your Christian understanding? You could enroll in seminary, but a better way might be the AFA Cultural Institute. You'll find a collection of more than 50 informative inspirational video lectures with more to come. Visit stream.afa.net to experience the AFA Cultural Institute.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump says Venezuela will buy only American-made products with the money it takes from Venezuelan oil. Edward Lawrence explains from the White House.
We know that President Trump told the Wall Street Journal that he wants to have the price of a barrel of oil about $50 a barrel. Yesterday, the Energy Secretary started those conversations face-to-face with oil executives to achieve the goals.
If we control the flow of oil, the sales of those oil, and the flow of the cash that comes from those sales, we have large leverage. But without large leverage, as we've seen in the last 25 years, you don't get change.
Now, in the first Trump administration, the average price of a barrel of oil was $53 per barrel. That led to gas prices averaging about $2.47 a gallon.
Many people are wondering what the future will look like for Venezuela now that the U.S. has removed Nicolas Maduro from power. Senator Kevin Cramer of South Dakota offered this thought on Washington Watch.
Yeah, I think it's bright, quite honestly. We have a great deal of leverage over the current leadership, and there's every incentive in the world. These are freedom-loving people, for the most part, that live in Venezuela. They're very grateful for the action. They're rich in resources. They once enjoyed capitalism and freedom and democracy. I think, in fact, I'm more optimistic than a lot of the analysts. I think that they'll recover rather quickly once they get a stable government that's duly elected and has the confidence of the Venezuelan people.
The left is turning up the anti-ICE rhetoric following the shooting death of a woman in Minneapolis who was trying to kill ICE agents with her car. State and local officials, as well as congressional Democrats, are blaming ICE agents, but not the criminals who are actively trying to stop agents from enforcing the law. Former DHS Chief Information Officer Richard Staropoli talks about what he feels is the real tragedy in this incident.
The tragedy here is that Tim Waltz and Jacob Fry weren't removed from the podium following this incident and arrested immediately. They have surpassed just typical rhetoric and have gone into a realm now where they're actively advocating the violent, aggressive activities against law enforcement activities. They have gone to the point where they're telling paid protesters to go out there, continue to protest, get in the way of the police, obstruct law enforcement, be aggressive, do whatever you can. And then when something like this happens, all of a sudden Tim Waltz, Jacob Fry, and the rest of these liberal woke left lunatics step back and say, oh, hold on a second. You know, we have no responsibility for this. These people were just exercising their First Amendment rights. No way. We've gone so far past this. This is ridiculous. I hope Kristi Noem and the Department of Justice see fit to start arresting some of these elected officials, and let's put this to rest already.
It remains a big topic of discussion at the federal level, and President Trump's remarks this week to Republicans prove that is the case. Chris Woodward explains what it is.
This week, President Trump spoke to Republicans in the House, and while he touched on several issues, one topic involved Trump telling Republicans to be, quote, flexible on the Hyde Amendment in order to get a health care deal done with Democrats. Now, the Hyde Amendment is a legislative provision that is renewed annually and bans the use of federal funds for most abortions. Kelsey Pritchard of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says it was a shock to hear that from the president.
This is a complete departure for him, and this would be a complete departure for the Republican Party, which for decades has said this is a minimum standard that we have to support the Hyde Amendment. If Republicans go this route, they'll really depress their base and hurt their chances of winning in November.
Pritchard says that Republicans cannot win without the pro-life base. In fact, if 1% to 2% of pro-lifers stayed home and did not vote in 2024, Pritchard says Kamala Harris would be in the White House today.
So it's very crucial that the Republicans do not ignore the pro-life base, and also that they just do these bare minimum kinds of things, like support the Hyde Amendment and protect the American taxpayer from the forced funding of abortions.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Calm moves for Wall Street overall today are masking some big gains underneath the surface for makers of weapons and other military equipment after President Trump said he wants to increase defense spending. At 4 minutes past the hour, the S&P 500 is virtually unchanged. The Dow up 139 points, and the Nasdaq Composite is 0.5% lower. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Peer.
Hello, everyone. Tim Wildmon here. We've got some great tours lined up for 2026. Washington, D.C., George Washington's Mount Vernon, Colonial Williamsburg, historic Jamestown, Boston, Massachusetts, and that greater area. So much to see and do in 2026. If you want information on any of these trips, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we'll see you on one of our tours in 2026.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network, American Family Radio Network. You're listening to AFR. And go to afr.net for our website, afr.net, or download our app, AFR app, on your smartphone or your iPad or whatever you have, and you can listen to us anywhere you want to in the world as long as you have internet service. AFR app. I mean, it's tens of thousands of people listen every day on the AFR app. It doesn't matter whether they have access to one of our radio stations with a tower or not. Again, thanks for listening. Our email is comments@afr.net, comments@afr.net. Now, if you're going to take time to email us, it needs to be a K-Love email. I've mentioned this before. You might say, Tim, what is a K-Love email? K-Love is a Christian radio network that plays music, and they do a great job with that. But they always mention that they are K-Love and they're positive and encouraging. And so I've adopted the phrase a K-Love email. So if you're going to take time to send us an email, don't bring us down, okay? Bruce, don't bring us down. Just send it and make it positive and encouraging. Now,
that's not a lot to ask.
It's not. Well, now there is such thing as constructive criticism.
Yes.
Right.
Which I also don't like.
I don't like it. That's what I'm saying. We don't even want any constructive criticism.
I'm kidding, folks.
You can send it to you. I don't want it. I don't need any constructive criticism because you know what? The word criticism's still in there. All right, and I got to go to lunch, and I don't want to feel bad because somebody said I don't know how to pronounce a word or something. We're trying our best, people. We're trying our dead level best, aren't we, Ed?
We are, and people don't understand. When you're on live radio, you turn to me and you say, well, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
I got to come up with an answer.
Right.
And my brain doesn't always, on the fly, my brain doesn't always work. And like you said, sometimes I say the word wrong or pronounce a name wrong, and it's just the way life is on live radio.
I would just say this, if people are going to send us a email, Wesley, that's critical, I want them to tell me what they do for a living, and then I will criticize their work.
I thought you were going to give them Walker's email.
Even though I don't even know them.
You're going to give them Walker's email.
Yes,
oh, well, we can do that. Give them your brother's email. Let him deal with it.
That's right.
Listen, pray for us. We do try to do our best to provide good programming here each and every day, and we do take our charge seriously because we are we're trying to glorify God and His Son Jesus Christ. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, and we try to let people know the best we can of what's going on around us and around in other states and across the country, because we know that a lot of our listeners are truck drivers or school teachers or moms. They have a full schedule every day.
Yeah.
They've got plenty of things that are their responsibilities.
Right.
So we try to give them a synopsis.
That's right.
Well, and let me just say this one thing too, and we're half joking about some of this, folks.
Right.
We're pretty thick-skinned, but like when your pastor tells you, encourages you to witness, to people during the week and says, look, you don't have to do it perfectly. Well, we can't do it perfectly, so just keep that in mind. We're like you, and we make mistakes at times, and it doesn't make us a bad person.
I'm with you, Ed.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. All right, you're listening to today's issues, and Chris Woodward, how you doing, Chris?
I'm well. If I may add something to the
Add
K-Love
something,
email,
Chris.
do not begin your email to the news service with "I love you guys, but," because that generally doesn't end in a positive and encouraging email. And don't sign off a rant with blessings, because that also happens.
Because that's, you know what, that's sarcastic, and we pick up on it.
Yeah, that's actually happened though.
Okay.
You're fooling no one.
That has actually happened. Blessings.
Okay, blessings. Anyway, no, as long as if you're a loyal listener, the faithful listeners, you want to say something that you may want to say something that we may disagree with, or you may have disagreed with that you feel strongly enough about to write it. We will read it, and we'll quote, take it under advisement, end quote.
Yes, we will. We'll take it under advisement.
We'll take it under advisement. File 13. All right. So, Chris, what's your first story for us today?
All right. So Vice President J.D. Vance did a sit-down interview with Jesse Waters on Fox, and they talked about
Have you ever heard of a stand-up interview?
I have not.
Okay,
Nor
but he
have
did.
I heard an open-door meeting.
So,
yes.
So it was a sit-down interview.
Yes, he did a sit-down interview.
Okay.
The door may or may not have been open.
Okay.
And he talked about a number of things, many of them political topics, and they got into the subject of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist, of course, recently took office and is now officially the mayor of New York City, where he promised a number of, quote, free things, and his housing or tenant director has made news in recent days because viral comments from her talked about how we're going to take away property rights and you don't really own what you say you own, those kinds of things.
Her name is Sia Weaver.
Sia Weaver, yes, sir. So Vance said, you know what, I don't agree with everything he has to say, but I do like that he's brought up various things about affordability. Clip 14.
I actually really admired some of his messaging because he focused not on the woke crazy stuff. He wasn't running on white people shouldn't own property. He was running on bread and butter issues, which is what I want politicians to focus on. Even if you disagree with their solutions, I would love it if the debate among Democrats and Republicans was, how do we deliver prosperity to the American people? But he runs on actually some pretty common sense bread and butter issues. He gets in there and he sounds like a total crazy person who wants to take your house away because you have the wrong skin color. That's not a threat to me politically. I think it's a threat to our country, but it's not a threat politically.
I think that's kind of an interesting comment because if you'll remember, Mamdani, before he took the oath of office, he went to the White House and met with the president after the election. And even President Trump said, quote, I hope he's successful. So it's just kind of weird. I would imagine a political strategist for some Democrat in this midterm election is going to splice those little comments together and make it look like Trump and Vance are praising this guy or his policies that other people are running on.
Yeah, I disagree with Vice President Vance on the first part. I don't think
you're not very positive and encouraging.
Not today
for VP Vance.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to hear this.
Right, but blessings upon you. Okay, I don't think that the Mamdani campaign.
Bread and butter issues.
Yeah, he did mention things like affordability and bread and butter issues, but he was very clear that he is running as a communist and a socialist.
Unapologetically.
Right. Yeah, unapologetically. So I understand what Vice President Vance was saying. I think that those kinds of issues are what's going to drive the next election and probably election cycles over the next 4 or 5 years because of the economic issues we have. But this guy is a sold-out commie, Mamdani, and he is putting on his team. This Sia Weaver has said some abhorrent things.
And what's her job in the administration there?
She's the tenant director. She oversees rent.
Oh, okay.
She's called for the seizure of private property, and that people who own homes are going to have to start thinking differently about private property, that we're going to have to stop thinking about it in terms of personal benefit, but now collective benefit, especially if you're white. Okay, this guy Mamdani is a sold-out radical, and I don't think if he continues to do what he's doing and starts destroying New York City, I think you're going to have a lot more clips from the vice president and President Trump that sound a whole lot more critical.
I think that the property owner thing is really going to cause problems for the Mamdani administration politically. And I say that because I guarantee you, without talking to anybody, I guarantee you that there is some union member out there who worked really hard and saved and moved his family out of a tiny little apartment into like a home in Queens. And all of a sudden you're being told you don't really own that. That's just nuts.
Or you shouldn't own it.
Right.
Because you're white and you're an oppressor.
Yes.
A lot of what they're talking about is not going to work because it's as I said the other day, it's going to run into constitutional law.
Mm-hmm.
And but they'll try, I guess. They'll try to impose, government-run grocery stores and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But I don't know, does that mean they're going to shut down or be competitive with private grocery stores?
Well, I think the problem with, and this is the problem with socialism, they start with government-run grocery stores, and because those are underwritten by the government, privately owned grocery
Go
stores
out of business.
are not going to be able to compete.
Right. All right, you're listening to today's Issues. Enough New York Zoran talk.
Yeah. Well,
Got
let me
anything?
mention
You
this.
Stay on him.
Well, it's the second interesting comment from the Trump-Vance administration this week. The President Donald Trump, is still getting a lot of pushback for his remark earlier this week to members of the House, Republicans, that they need to be, quote, flexible on abortion. Here again is a bit of audio. I think we might have done this yesterday, but for people that might have missed that show or they're not aware of what I'm talking about, Trump wants Republicans to be flexible on things like the Hyde Amendment, which is a legislative provision that has to be in bills to prevent the federal funding of abortion. Trump wants them to be flexible on issues like Hyde as they try to negotiate some sort of new health care law or bill. And so you're going to hear a little bit from the president, along with heated reaction from Students for Life and National Right to Life. Clip 15.
You have to be a little flexible on Hyde. You know that. You got to be a little flexible. You got to work something. You got to use ingenuity. You got to work.
President Trump is mistaken if he believes that the pro-life movement's going to be like, oh, sure, yeah, don't apply Hyde to Obamacare reform. No, absolutely not. Non-starter. Any health care bill that is passed out of Congress that does not have Hyde attached to it is a pro-abortion vote.
People should be contacting their members of Congress, telling them, encouraging them to stand firm that our tax dollars are not to be used to pay for abortion.
Now, I don't have this audio, but I can tell you right now that Oklahoma Senator James Langford is a no on being flexible because he said as much yesterday on Washington.
Let me tell folks again, sometimes I know people think, well, you sound like you're talking to kindergartners. Well, sometimes people don't understand. When you talk about something like the Hyde Amendment, unless you go back and understand the history of it, you don't understand the context of what we're talking about here, okay? So I'll just lay it out simply. Henry Hyde was a U.S. congressman from Illinois back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. He was very well known as one of the pro-life leaders. He was a Republican. Mm-hmm. He was from Illinois in the Congress. So there was something called the Hyde Amendment, which Democrats at that time and Republicans agreed on, and that is that no United States federal tax dollars can go to any entity that does abortions. Okay,
right.
I've got it right, and this was agreed upon by Democrats and Republicans. Okay, it was not. But it was named after the congressman, the Hyde Amendment. So no tax dollars can go to organizations that promote abortion. Now, you guys think?
Yeah, no, that's right.
You're right.
Federal tax dollars cannot be used.
So that's been the law of the land forever. Since that time. So now. The Trump administration is trying to negotiate with the Congress Obamacare restrictions or something like that. I don't know why Trump's bringing this up. Why is he bringing it up?
Well, because there's been this heated debate. Remember, Democrats shut down the government because they wanted more assurances on subsidies and things like that with Obamacare. Trump wants to make changes to Obamacare. And basically, we're looking at a situation where they're going to negotiate a new health care law.
That's why he's talking about it.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just say this. Trump's dead wrong on this, okay? He's just dead wrong on it, and he should not he should not be pushing for this at all. That is some kind of a end to the Hyde Amendment in the name of something else that he wants to accomplish. Okay, we all, on balance, President Trump, I'm with him on 80-90% of what he does and stands for and says. And I think when you're talking about political leaders, you're not going to agree with them 100% on everything, right? I mean, you just don't. You don't. Does anybody agree with 100% of anything?
I don't even agree with myself 100% of the time.
There you go. Well, that's what I'm talking about. So this is, but on this issue, President Trump needs to not talk about it anymore and not push for it. That is the ending somehow of the Hyde Amendment. So President Trump is a transactional politician.
All of them are, but go ahead.
He was a transactional. That's the world he grew up in. Okay, he's a businessman from New York. He spent his whole life cutting deals. When you cut deals with people, you get some, they get some, and you're willing to negotiate what that looks like on all kinds of deals. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So when you translate that to politics, yes, sometimes that does work, and you do have to trade off things to get what you want with the other side, because the other side wants something too, and you're not going to be able to accomplish what you want to if you don't trade some things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay, so, but there are such things as absolute principles that don't need to be surrendered or negotiated because the issue is so important.
That's right.
And human life and abortion, not having the federal, my tax dollars go to somebody that's going to do abortions is worth standing up for. So I would just say I hope President Trump gets the message that these pro-life leaders communicated that we heard right there, and he will heed that advice. In many respects, President Trump has been the most pro-life president we've ever had.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of great things for the pro-life movement, and I want to give him credit for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will also too. Some of this, oftentimes when you hear something like this, he gets quote updated or educated down the road, and I would be surprised if he didn't come back and have a different tone, because there's already exceptions in the Hyde Amendment. There's already been we've already conceded a little bit of ground, because apparently the funding is it the Hyde Amendment. The exceptions to it are those that are pregnancies that result in rape or incest or life of the mother. So there's already the Hyde Amendment basically keeps people from murdering their baby out of convenience. You know what I mean? Yep. So I think once he finds out.
By the way, did you guys see this story where there have been polls done about President Trump by the public polls, and they have shown, you can pull this story up if you want to and get where it documented, but the polls are that he is faring better at this stage in his presidency than George Bush or Barack Obama were at the same time in their presidency.
In their second term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would you ever think that, given how the media bashes Trump all the time?
If the media was not on a mission to torpedo everything President Trump says or does, he probably would be even higher.
He'd be king.
In popularity. Yeah.
Look, he'd be king, and he wouldn't mind that.
No, I'm joking.
Pull that survey up, because can somebody pull that up?
Yeah, you text us a couple days ago.
Do search for a Trump poll.
Oh, I got it here. Thanks to Brent.
Versus Bush and Obama.
Way to go, Brent. The headline, it's a Newsweek story, and I'll share it on our Facebook page. Donald Trump's approval rating ahead of George W. Bush's and Barack Obama's, which is what Tim just said. President Trump's approval rating is higher than that of 43rd President Bush and 44th President Obama when compared to the same period during each leader's second term. This is according to a new poll from, wait for it, Real Clear Polling, which is a reputable source that news outlets across the board use.
And Newsweek is citing them.
Yeah,
they're certainly
credible.
Credible.
And he's got a wonderful team. And unless China gets involved with another COVID, then he should end up. And I say that because he was also, if we go way back, he was crushing it his first year.
Oh yeah,
until COVID, about 11
first
months.
term.
Yes.
His first term, he was crushing it
Until
about
COVID hit.
Yeah,
that's true.
So he's obviously really good at being a president.
Yeah. They obviously were proven incorrect. But I remember going into 2020, there were a lot of people on television or radio shows, podcasts, what have you, that were predicting the 2020 election at that time, pre-COVID, would have mirrored the results of 1984 when Reagan took Mondale.
No, had COVID not hit, Trump would have won.
Yeah.
I know people are going to say, well, he did win. Well, I'm talking about he would have won overcoming.
Without the shenanigans because you had the COVID restrictions. Stuff.
All right, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Tim, Wesley, and Ed, and Chris. Chris, what's your next story? We got about 5 minutes left here.
I want to mention this because it's a popular game show, even in the absence of its original host.
Popular game show? What is that, Chris?
Yes, Jeopardy. It's in the news because its new host, Ken Jennings, the guy that replaced Alex Trebek. There's a story from Fox out today, and they're one of several news outlets reporting this. But apparently, Ken Jennings says the 2028 presidential candidate who vows to prosecute President Trump will have his vote. I'm curious as to whether or not
that's a way to keep your fans.
Right. Yeah. What is a dumb thing to say for $1,000, Alex? So, here's my question. You're not in politics. You're a game show host.
Right.
Is that the platform to really do something like that?
I'm surprised that these companies that own businesses
don't have a clause
that need to stay neutral, need the face of their organization to stay neutral. Don't impose that kind of thing because you can't. I saw where Conan O'Brien, the comedian, late night talk show host, he was saying yesterday that basically that these comedians are obsessed with Trump. They're ruining themselves.
Right.
And he says they just need to stick with being funny.
Right.
That doesn't mean you can't talk about politics or make fun of the president here and there. But just this constant obsession like Jimmy Kimmel has or Stephen Colbert, it just ruins comedy, he said. And also just it causes you to lose half your audience out there that you would otherwise have. So
automatically, half your audience becomes unhappy with you.
Yeah.
Listen, if I don't watch Jeopardy because it comes on when hockey's on, okay? But if I did watch it, I would stop watching it because of that.
Yeah.
I would just stop watching it.
It's a stupid comment.
Is that what you want to do? You want to drive away your audience?
Yeah. Well, there's that age-old comment that may or may not have been attributed to Michael Jordan, where Republicans buy sneakers too. There's just some stuff you don't do from a business perspective.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of people didn't follow Jordan's advice.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying celebrities don't have a right to speak out on issues. They're Americans, and they have views and feelings too. But I'm just saying, if you are employed by a company, if I were the CEO of Jeopardy, whoever that is, I would have it stipulated you don't talk about politics.
Right.
Okay, because your job is to represent our game show. Our game show wants to reach millions of people, Republicans and Democrats,
for entertainment.
So we don't want to be have you out there being the Stephen Colbert of game show host.
He's not even a comedian.
No.
A comedian would probably have more latitude.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to you're expressing yourself through your comedy. It's a game show about facts.
Yeah.
And about information.
And he's saying he wants President Trump arrested for what?
And prosecuted.
Yeah, he will vote for the 2028 candidate that promises to prosecute the Trump regime. That's what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
bonkers.
All right, just dumb,
He's
man.
smart, but not that smart, apparently.
Just being dumb.
Yeah.
That's the guy, by the way, isn't it, who won, I forget how many weeks in a row he won
he was
Jeopardy.
like the Jeopardy champion of all champions.
He's very smart, but not wise.
Well, it's like Reagan said. It's not that they're ignorant. It's that they know so much that isn't so.
All right, people, give me a score on Ole Miss Miami tonight, Ed. Go ahead. I'll buy lunch for anybody, whoever gets closest.
42-35.
Ole Miss or
Ole
Miami?
Miss.
Okay, 42-35. Wow. Wesley, Ole Miss Miami tonight. Give me a score.
Yeah, Ole Miss 27, Miami 24.
Okay.
All right, Chris, what you got?
Ole Miss wins 35-31, but Indiana takes the title.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. I'll give you another lunch for that when we get up. So you saying Ole Miss 35, Miami what?
31.
All right, I'm going to say Ole Miss 31. Oh, Miami is so good on defense. I don't even know how Ole Miss is going to get to 31, but I got a gut feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, go with
Got to
your
roll
gut.
that dice. I'm going to say Miami 30.
31-30.
How about that game?
That would be phenomenal.
Ole Miss 31, Miami.
I'll stay up all night to watch that one.
Ole Miss 31, Miami 30, I say. We'll see who gets it right tomorrow. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody. Again, thank you for listening to American Family Radio.